be the absolute first to admit that I frequently, I mean really frequently, made fun of Death Stranding. I'd go work for Amazon if I wanted to deliver stuff, or it's a UPS sim. I never believed I would enjoy this game or a game like this. But when it became available on Game Pass, I thought, hell, I really have no excuse to at least not give it a shot. And I feel foolish now. Well, sort of. First of all, the core gameplay is actually nothing unusual. It's a standard over-the-shoulder third-person shooter when called for, but that's kind of where the ordinary ends. You're dumped into a devastated planet where you deliver parcels. We don't receive anything as the player. Instead, we must learn what the rest of the world, including Sam, our character, already knows. It's almost like skipping to the middle of a movie and starting to watch it from there, even though you've never seen it before. In fact, in the first hour, you deliver a package, you get a new contract to transport a body, you suffer a void-out explosion caused by an unknown man that kills an entire city, you come back to life, and then you get a BB unit, all in the first hour or two. And from that point on, the plot remains enigmatic until the very end, where it finally begins to make sense, and does so in a way that feels so unexpected. The plot revolves around the characters, whose backstories have implications for the universe and the universe in which the game takes place in. And every time a character's origin is explained, new information about the game lore is drip-fed to you in a way that is oh so satisfying. The build-up was wonderful but confusing, and the roads it took to get there stunned me. The ending literally made me gasp out loud once it happened. For the 80 plus hours I played, the acting from Norm and Leia and everybody else just made this a delight to watch. At times it felt like a futuristic space movie. It was like the world is somewhat dull but interesting at the same time, almost like Prometheus. I've grown to like Prometheus as the years go by. It's a world that, while stunning, is empty, but that's for a very specific reason. As I've mentioned before in other videos, podcasts, everything, I've never played a Metal Gear or a Metal Gear Solid game, so I'm not somebody who believes Hideo Kojima is a perfect game developer that can do no wrong. I'm aware of some of the games and their stories and some of the controversies behind them and all that, and I was definitely on the Kojima side when he left Konami. But aside from that, I do not consider the man to be a god of video games. However, with this, I can see why people think so highly of him after experiencing this game. And I say experiencing because it was an adventure, from the void-out beginning to the credit roll and ending. The only aspect of the plot that comes to mind for criticism is the pacing, but once again, it is Hideo Kojima, and he is notorious for his erratic pacing and massive information dumps. This kept me interested as a player, but it might be off-putting to some people. It isn't about 70 till you get about 70% into the game that everything starts to make sense, and all my questions were resolved. I cried when I heard Fragile's story, and when we lost Mama. I also found myself laughing with Hartman or the dry humor that is in half the game. I left this game fully content with what I played and never had a what if thought, and never had a cliffhanger like, well, that didn't get answered, so now I'm frustrated. Never had that. The storyline and plot twists of this game are clever, but so are all the game's underlying assumptions. It discusses long-held geological, historical, anthropological beliefs, as well as extinctionist theories that are present in an almost convincing manner, almost very Assassin's Creed style, where it's so close to history and lines up with historical events that you do kind of wonder how far away it is from the actual truth. I will admit, the game does get repetitive, just delivering packages back and forth or picking up the drop packages from other players, especially with how spread out and hard to get to some spots are, but that's just part of the fun of it, in my opinion. I just put on a movie or a TV show in the background sometimes and just did the deliveries to raise my Porter rating and the stars with the shelters. Other times, I put the music on from the game. Low Roar definitely has a new fan in me with the amazing soundtrack they had throughout this entire game. I think one of the coolest features in this game, and it's been talked to death, is the ability to use other people's structures or people getting to use yours. And then you can have like different songs attached to them, different holographs. It is cool to see a tall boy at a post box or something. I love that. And it is such a sigh of relief when you bring a shelter onto the chiral network only to see that somebody has already started a zipline path, especially in the mountains, to the next hard to reach area or out of there. I'm not 100% sure on the version that's in Game Pass, so I don't know if I'm missing out on something, but god dang, what I got was an amazing game, an amazing package. The way the game gently rolls out new equipments, upgrades, story is what really kept me hooked. And as the meme says, it's like a reward. I will say, it is best not to do all the side quests first. I know this goes against all open world logic, but like most modern open worlds now, once the game is over, it is not over. When you roll credits, you can come back, you can play through more, you can spend more time in the world. Why? Because you can burn yourself out. Do a few quests here and there, and perhaps if they're in the same general direction to where you're heading, go. But don't bog yourself down with trying to do every single quest, because you can't. They'll just keep having more and more. You'll only be missing a few wearables and gameplay related items that, while cool, look fun, or beneficial in a small way, aren't worth it in the long run, if you get what I mean. Overall, Death Stranding is a very smart game. It's original, it's stunning, it's beautiful, and has a lot to offer for the people that are going to like it. The story and acting really made this a must-play or a suggestion for most gamers. For me, it never overstays its welcome, and it wraps everything up in a neat package that does leave room for a second game, but it's not forced or heavily hinted at. And while the back and forth delivery can get repetitive, the music is so good. And it's gonna start slow, especially after that action-packed opening, but it is worth it to take the time and play it, at least in my humble opinion. So let me say this for the record. I was wrong about Death Stranding, and I'm glad I was. I think this review I got off of Steam says it best. It's not for everybody, but damn, I'm glad it's for me. I don't know what I'm gonna play next in the backlog, but Death Stranding is going to stick with me for a very long time.